If I can find my button here, that probably would work right. Hopefully you guys on YouTube can hear me. I usually get 5x5s. I see everybody on TikTok. Glenn Anderson says 5x5. Salt Miss says 5x5. Well, thank you for that. Scott says 5x5. I appreciate that, guys. Welcome, Salt Mist. Welcome, Scott. Welcome, Glenn, my friend. It's good to see you. Who else is in here? Johnny, welcome. Welcome to the live tonight. Thank you for stopping by. Hopefully you will hang with us the rest of the night. Good to see you here in the chat tonight. Let's talk about our channel news. I'm kind of excited for our channel news today because we almost had 100% growth in our channel. And so I want to share that with you guys. If you're new here tonight, my name is Fernando and I am God's Prepared Warrior. And on this channel, we talk about preparedness physically and spiritually and how the two work together. And I am excited always to meet with you guys. And even if it was in person. So, if you live in the Texas area, make sure you shoot me an email. And maybe that can happen. I don't know. I have a story to tell today. So about that. Welcome, T-Bird. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for being here and joining us tonight on our live. All right. So let's look at the channel news. All right. YouTube. So I do this because you guys are the ones that make this channel. I'm just the guy that talks on here, and you guys are the ones that like, subscribe, and you share all of my videos. And I'm so thankful for that, that you guys do that. So keep doing that. Keep sharing with your family and friends all about our social media, so that way we can get the word out. So YouTube, we are sitting at 902 subscribers. I am totally excited about that because we're getting up there, and that's pretty neat. We had 8 new subscribers this week, which is super awesome. Over on TikTok and TikTok world, Generation X is here watching with us. Thank you for joining us. The review couple is here. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. Over on TikTok, we're sitting at 3,864 followers over there. We are up 9 new subscribers to the channel there on TikTok. So thank you guys for showing that out. Facebook, man, we've had like really no movement here lately on Facebook. And this week we have 3 new followers on Facebook. And that's awesome. Brings us to 178. And those 3 subscribers said, I'm going to go to the community page in the group section and join the Facebook community, God's Prepared Warrior community page. And so those 3 added 3 more, and we're up to 30 followers there on the community page. So that's awesome. Don't forget, if you haven't subscribed to the God's Prepared Warrior community group page, that is going to be a whole lot of different content, and it's going to be pretty cool. Sometimes I will throw stuff in there that doesn't go anywhere else. So make sure you go and join that community over on Facebook. Our X channel stayed the same this week. So that's the 5% that didn't move. Instagram, we are sitting at 1,010 new followers. We are up 16 on the Instagram channel. And that brings us a total of 39 new subscribers this week on the channel. Well, the channels, right? And so that is always exciting when I get to see growth and see you guys coming in and sharing the videos. Keep doing that. I think that's pretty cool. I love making content for you guys, and we are doing really well, and I'm just glad for all of that's happening. So that is the channel news. Next, we're going to move into some pieces of news that you might have not seen just yet, or maybe you have and you have some insight. So this is where I tell everybody to start, commenting on what you think. Um, let's see. Yeah, commenting on what you think. Um, what you think about what's happening in our news. Okay, that's what I want to say. All right, so let's look at our first item today on the hot sheets. This is from ABC News. It says the government shutdown updates. Senate passes government funding bill. So the Senate today passed a short-term government funding bill and sent it to the House, where the vote could come as early as Wednesday. The bill would fund government through January the 30th, to where we start this process all over again to provide funding for some of the government agencies for the remainder of the fiscal year. So it looks like we should be coming out of this shutdown. It's been something like 41 days that the government's been shut down. Hi, Monica. Welcome tonight to the live. Hi, Lauren. Welcome. And welcome tonight, guys, to live. Chris, welcome. One of the neat things is, not that it's neat, forgive me, that's the wrong word. One of the things that my nonprofit that I work for has been doing is we have been actually now helping out our men and women in the city where I live who are not being paid because of the government shutdown. We have had an influx of soldiers and their families come to our nonprofit for assistance because they are not getting paid. And so here in the last 2 to 3 weeks, we have been super busy by helping out these individuals, and on top of those that we already help that are in need. And so we have been super busy. And if you ever come across my channel and you're following me and you're like, Fernando didn't put out a video today, it was probably because work has been super busy. And so that's going to be the reason why. So just so you know that that's happening, right? Scott says, I think politicians need to stop making themselves rich and start doing what is right for Americans. Yes, I totally agree. I actually agree that if there's going to be a government shutdown, that anything connected to that, right? Because they do it to all of the agencies, they do it to the military, and they stop and of recently, right? Just this year, they've cut out EBT, right? So I think that the politicians that still get paid even during a shutdown, that they shouldn't get paid either. I think that if our troops are put out like they have been, I totally believe that because these guys and these women put their lives on the line for us to live freely, right? I mean, you go back to all our veterans who fought wars, and we've lost so many people in those wars. I think it's fair that if you are going to throw a hissy fit and you're going to flop around on the ground and throw a tantrum because you're not getting what you want, that you should not get paid too, because you're halting the system. So that's my soapbox moment. And for our troops, so let's keep praying for our troops. I got to I'll share this story. So we are like a food bank where I work, and we had a sergeant come, and he came in his car. It was a small car, and he was told to come over and to pick up 7 boxes of food. Now, we say 7 boxes of food, but it's way more than that. It's around $250 to $280 worth of food that we give out where I work. And so this sergeant came, and as I was in the warehouse helping, somebody said, Fernando, let's get 7 baskets, right? Baskets. And we're going to take them to this gentleman outside. So I went out there. I had like 4 of the baskets with me, and another person had, the rest. And he's getting off his car. And he's full fatigues, and he's getting out. And I noticed that he's a sergeant. And I said, "Good day, Sergeant. Are you ready for us to pack up your things?" And he was so overwhelmed with what he saw that we were going to put in his little car, right? 7 boxes plus other items, right? And he was so overwhelmed because he told me, he said, I thought I was coming to pick up 7 boxes of maybe canned food for us. And man, you could tell he wanted to cry. But, this is what God does when we trust him, right? And that was kind of my conversation with him. So, our ministry's been helping out our men and women here in the city where I live, and it has just been a total blessing to see them come in and for us to help them. It's been really cool. So let's keep praying for our troops. Armando, welcome, Armando. What's up? You guys welcome Armando. He is coming over from TikTok, and he's my moderator over there. And so welcome him in. I see that you guys have already started doing that. Okay, so let's keep our troops in prayer. I think that's just so important. Hopefully this government shutdown is now coming to an end, because it is affecting so many people, and politicians are like, I don't think they really care. And, I think it's time to let some of them go. Anyway. All right. Our next one is coming from Axios. Schumer privately fought to extend the government shutdown. Then you got this guy who tried to continue to keep the shutdown in place. Now, I read an article earlier that said that he was upset because Democrats, came through to help, right? There's a certain number that they have to reach so that the thing can pass and all that good stuff, right? Well, he was really, really upset because a few Democrats folded. So, I think this guy is the guy that needs to go. I'm just saying, I mean, it's a big thing. RTP, welcome tonight, my friend. It's good to see you in the chat. Welcome. So I think Mr. Schumer should go, since he tried to have the Schumer shakedown. It didn't work. All right, so the next one says U.S. military blew up 2 more alleged drug boats in the Pacific, killing 6 narco terrorists. The U.S. military has killed 6 more people in strike in a boat, right? Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said today, bringing the total deaths to 76 people. So they're continuing to carry out these strikes on the drug dealers that are going in the Pacific, bringing drugs over to the United States, and so they are taking them out. So the crazy video is out there if you want to see it. It's pretty nuts, but they are continuing that effort over there. In the BBC is also talking about the typhoon that hit the Philippines over the weekend. Feng Wang, which is the name of the typhoon, is now passing over the South China Sea and is expected to head toward Taiwan after having 2 people who are unalived in the Philippines. So, guys, let's keep these folks in the Philippines in prayer. If you guys are a follower of the um, now I can't think of his name. Salt Miss knows who I'm talking about. He has moved over to the Philippines now and has just gotten married, and he is now living over there in the Philippines. Um, I can't think of his name. Oh, the popular report. Yeah. So he has moved over there and is now doing all of his content from the Philippines, and so he asked for prayer for people over there. So let's keep those people in the Philippines in prayer, and where this typhoon is actually headed to other places, let's go ahead and lift them up to the Lord. Um, Politico says that Kiev targets Russia's energy supply after a massive attack on Ukraine's power grid. So now the war is shifting to hitting infrastructure, right? So they're targeting each other's power grid and trying to shut down this whole thing. So you know, I would encourage you guys to kind of pay attention to this kind of stuff and then ask yourself, what would I do in this situation? You know, if you don't want to think about bombings, maybe what would happen if the lights go out? Am I ready for that kind of thing? Do I have all the things that prepared for a power outage in my area? I was talking with my group earlier, and we were talking about this thing today about what do you need for those kinds of things, right? And so I think it's just very important for us to think about whenever we see this in the news and it's happening over there. Think about, put yourself in their shoes and think about that for a moment and say, do I have what it takes to go through a 2 to 3 hour power outage, or maybe a day, or maybe a 2 day, or a 3 day, or maybe a week? If you follow my content, I encourage you guys to practice with your preps, right? That's maybe going on a weekend and going outside to the box, pulling that lever, and you know what? We're in shutdown mode, and we're going to see if we can survive without the lights on. And so, those are good things to do, especially if you've been prepping and you've been stockpiling items and things, and you've been on top of rotating your food, rotating your water. You've been on top of rotating your batteries, making sure things are topped off, making sure that you have all your preps in place. And when you do this kind of a scenario, you are really practicing preparedness in a controlled way, right? Because you can always go back outside, hit that switch, and you have lights on again, right? So, guys, I would encourage you to practice with your preps. Practice makes muscle memory. And so when the lights really go out, if you follow my Facebook, my Facebook page, you'll know that here recently we've been through 2 outages already. And Fernando always posts a picture of Fernando with a smile on his face, because this is practice time for Fernando, and Fernando's prepared for a power outage. So I know if there's anything I am really prepared for, it's a power outage. I still have fans at work. I still have a light. I still can recharge all of my, cell equipment, all of my radios, all that stuff. So, you should be doing the same thing. Just saying. So yeah, so they're attacking each other's power grid and really trying to knock people out in that way. All right, the next and last one that I found is that, and I don't know, I didn't see this out on the regular news, but uh, I found this article from, this is from Space. Yeah, space.com. It says private Chinese rocket fails during launch. 3 satellites lost. So apparently this rocket was launched. A private Chinese rocket suffered its second ever failure Um, so the so the rocket did not make it, and neither did the satellites that were in the rocket. And according to the article, this is the second attempt. And so think about all that money to build a rocket, fuel the rocket, and then build the payload that goes in it that needs to go to outer space, and then for it to be lost. That's a lot. So maybe that's a good thing because it's China. So I saw that today, and I'm like, huh, sounds like they're trying to beef up their satellite security up there. So hey, that's a good thing, I guess. But just so you know, they are trying their best to compete with the rest of with us. So just keep that in mind. That is happening um, over there, and it is getting crazy. All right, so you guys are talking about dehydrated stuff. See, that's why it's so important for everyone to come over to YouTube, because everyone's talking about cool stuff over here. So yeah. Salt Miss says I keep a lot of different teas. One of my favorite is Monk's Blend. I haven't tried that one yet. It's a black tea bag, and it's a loose leaf tea. Awesome. My favorite is mullein, because mullein is a herb that helps your respiratory system, and I suffer a lot from respiratory things during the winter, so I always keep mullein, and I actually need to order some more. Mullein is a good herbal tea to keep. There's several other ones that I like too. So awesome. All right, so let's get into tonight's topic. I think tonight's topic is really important, and I think it's important for all of us to think about, because when we talk about prepping, we think about a lot. There's a lot of things that are floating, right? There's people that say, well, I'm going to be a lone wolf prepper, and when poop hits the fan, it's just going to be me and my family, or just me, right? And so they don't get into any kind of group or anything like that. And so tonight I want to talk about in this roundtable tonight, I want to talk about the power of community in preparedness. And it was neat because we kind of talked a little bit about this in our group meeting tonight. And I think that it's important for us to really consider being part of a group, and being prepared and ready whenever poop hits the fan, right? So I want to talk about that tonight, and I want to get your thoughts on that, and I want you guys to talk about this in the comments, and because it's so important what we're going to talk about tonight. So let's talk about community, because it's important for us to know that nobody should stand alone. I want you to get that. Nobody should stand alone. You can have all the gear, you can have all the skills, you can have all the plans, because if you follow me on YouTube, those are the things we talk about on here, right? But if you don't have the people, you're missing the strongest layer of preparedness. This is important. God has designed us to walk together. Ecclesiastes 4, 9 and 10 says, two are better than one, because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help another up. And that's not just about friendship. That's preparedness in action, right? And I tell you that because I want to share a story for you tonight. I don't know if he's in the live tonight. Granny's Corner is here. Welcome, Granny's Corner. Thank you for joining us tonight. Real Thoughts is in here also. I said hello to him earlier. I don't see that he's in here. If he is, Psalmist, can you let me know if he's in here? Let's see, Granny's Corner. Let's see. All right. Okay. So I have a friend. I'm just gonna say his name is Chris, and he contacted me this weekend, and he said, Fernando, because I met him at the prepper group that I got to go speak on a few months ago, right? You guys on YouTube know about this because we talked about this before. So he came through while we were over there. We had our booth up, and I had all of my radio equipment out, and he came over and he saw all of my radio equipment, asked questions about my radio equipment, and then said that if I would one day sit with him and show him how to use his radio. And so I told him I would and gave him my contact information. And this weekend we got together, right? This brother in Christ came out and he says, can you sit with me this weekend and show me how to use my radio? And so I said, okay, so what do you want him to do? He said, I want to connect to the repeater, but I can't figure it out. And so I said, all right, let's sit down. Let's look at it together. And so basically what I did was I took him and his radio and pointed out all of the features on his radio and kind of gave him a picture of how to use his radio and how to connect to repeaters. I took him to 2 websites that he did not know of, or he knew one, but not the other. And so we were able to connect him to the repeater, and he was so happy. He was so happy to be connected to the repeater and actually have somebody speaking through his radio while we were sitting there together. And so I tell you this story because this is building community. This is Fernando building community where he lives so that whenever poop hits the fan or whatever, I am able to reach out to someone else who knows something different than I do that I don't know and can rely on them in a poop hit the fan scenario, right? I walked him step by step through these processes to show him how to use his radio. Now he can use his radio. So I'm excited to connect with him here pretty soon and communicate through the radio. So that's going to be pretty cool. But that's exactly what this is all about. It is the power of community. It's taking the time to teach someone or to share and to strengthen each other because that's how we grow as God's prepared warriors. And so tonight, let's look at this power of community. When it comes to preparedness, right? Whether that's food, whether that's communication, whether that's security or faith, right? Community changes everything. I want you guys to know that. So let's look at this. What does community look like? Mutual aid, right? When disasters strike, it's not just what you have. It's what we have together, right? One family might have extra food. Another family might have medical knowledge. Someone else might have tools or a generator or a thing that we need. Together, we can support one another. And this is the idea we were talking about tonight in our group. And this mutual aid is not just for you to get from, but it's also for you to give, right? For what God has blessed you with as far as skills, as far as gifts, or even provision, right? That God has given to us, right? The next thing is skill sharing, right? Every time we teach someone something, like maybe how to use the radio, right? Like with my friend, maybe grow food or purify water, or maybe even just study the Bible, right? We're multiplying preparedness. I want you to understand that we are multiplying preparedness by taking the time to teach someone something. Okay. Skills passed down, um, you know, just help one person. They strengthen the whole body of Christ when we share that out. And so that's important, right? We need to have mutual aid. We need to share our skills. And the third thing is we need to pray together, right? Never underestimate the power of prayer in your preparedness group, right? When believers pray together, right, discernment grows, unity strengthens, and fear loses its grip. Matthew 18:20 says, "For when there are where there are two or three, and they gather in my name, there I am with them." Right? Prayer connects us to God's wisdom, and it keeps our hearts ready for whatever is to happen. Right? That's so important. So, how do we build this community? How do we bring all of that together? Um, what does it look like, right? How do we even go about doing that this week, right? Well, you got to reach out. You got to start, right? You have to reach out to someone, right? Whether that's, in your family, whether that's in your church, whether that's part of your radio group, whether that's part of your mutual assistance group, whether that's somebody in your neighborhood, um, you know, reach out to someone, right? And ask, if they would like to learn one of your skills, right? I kind of did some fishing, right? Some fishing a while back on the Nextdoor app, and I just kind of threw a question out there, and I said, "Hello, my name is Fernando, and I am thinking of starting a mutual assistance group in my neighborhood, and would like to know if you would like to be part of it." And then I kind of described what that meant, because not a lot of people know what that means. And so I had 4 people respond to that post. One was a ham operator who would love to join and teach people all about ham radio. And then another person said that she knows how to can, and that she would love to be part of that group. And then 2 others signed up. They didn't say what they did, but they had interest in that. And so, I thought that was a really, really neat thing, because there are people who are wanting to join a group where people can get together and share skills and ideas and how to prepare when things go bad, right? And so it's great to see that, because now I know I can start with a few here in my area, right? And so I think it's important for us to reach out and ask. I think that's all we have to do, and we haven't done it. Maybe we haven't done that yet, right? Maybe we haven't asked. And if we ask, that's how we learn, right? So reach out to someone, and just ask them if they want to be part of that, right? Join or start a local preparedness group. Do it, right? That nothing's holding me back from doing it. I'm wanting to do it already. I've done my research. I have been doing a lot of things here at the house, and we have gone through several outages. If there's anything I can teach, is how to prepare for an outage, right? And so that's not the only skill I have, but I can teach all the things that I know, right? So I plan to start a local preparedness group. Even if it's just a couple of people or a couple of families, meeting once a month. It's great to get together and to start working together, right? And the other thing is communicate, right? Check in on one another, especially during tough weather, like it's getting colder here. In the morning it's cold, but then in the afternoon it's like in the 70s, not like really hot, but it's not cold either. So communicate with one another. Make sure you're checking on your neighbors. Make sure you're checking on your family, right? And if there's a power outage, definitely make sure you're checking with people, right? And making sure that you're doing that, right? Or even when you hear about shortages that may be coming, right? Like with this EBT thing not working and our soldiers not getting paid, our nonprofit was already on top of that, getting ready for an influx of people who needing assistance, and so we were ready for that. So communication is important, and then like we were talking earlier, praying together, right? Before you start, uh, maybe you're meeting with your family, start with prayer, right? Maybe you're meeting with your group, start with prayer, right? Invite the Holy Spirit into it. Ask God to come into it and guide your planning and give you wisdom. I mean, why wouldn't you ask for that? The Bible tells us that God gives us that freely, right? And without limit. We can always ask God for wisdom. He's going to give it to us, and then let's ask God to just reveal any blind spots that we may not even see, right? So I think that's important also. So yeah. um, let's see. Aaron says, too many new neighbors in the past year. I am cautious on who to speak with about preparedness. Yeah, that's true. I don't know all of my neighbors. I see them, but I don't know all of them. But that doesn't mean that I can't be a neighbor. Does that make sense? A lot of times people are willing to talk. They just haven't been approached, right? um, I'm just a different kind of person. I'm not afraid to talk to people. I'm not afraid to get in there and ask questions. I have actually talked to people that I just met, and I just get this. The Holy Spirit says that this person's a good person, and so I just kind of like talk about preparedness first. And I don't reveal that I'm a prepper at first. I just, hey, do you prepare for this, that, or the other? And oh yeah, I do that. And I'm like, there you go, the Holy Spirit was on that one. So yeah, I get it, Aaron. I understand how you feel. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, you're right. It's better to be safe than sorry. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's just something for us to think about, is building this community, right? I have a few elderly neighbors, and it's good to check in on them, because you just never know. If a power outage happens, they may not know. They may not know what to do next, and so they might be freaking out in their own house, and we don't even know. So it's good to check in on people, right? And pray together with them. I think that's important. How do we do this? How do we build a community of preparation? How do we do that? There's so many ways, right? Um, let me say this. When you need assistance, right? We usually think about the physical, right? I need this or I need that. Um, but do we think about the spiritual tie, right? When you read through the Bible, you'll notice that God's always builds in community, right? The disciples went out two by two. The early church shared their resources together. We find that in the book of Acts. They shared their resources together. Even Nehemiah rebuilt the walls of Jerusalem by assigning families to specific sections of the wall, right? Preparedness isn't about isolation. There's this misconception that preppers are, these isolated people. I mean, I know there are some that are, and they believe in a lone wolf mentality, but that's really not going to work. Um, you know, a bad group, right? A group that just comes to take your stuff will take a lone person and take their stuff. Might take their life and take their stuff. So preparedness isn't about isolation. It's about kingdom connection, right? Because God has wired us to be in relationship, right? Because God is wanting to be in relationship with his creation. And so that's who we are. And we have this, wired in us, to be in that way, right? Um, so, preparedness isn't about, um, being isolated. It is about kingdom connection. We guard the gate together. We talked a little bit about that last Monday, right? We guard the gate together. We train together. We watch and we pray together, right? And when one falls down, we are to lift them up, right? And we live in a world where it's dog eat dog and nobody helps nobody, but they want to be helped, right? And so if they don't want to help nobody, but they want to be helped, guess who's going to help them? Somebody, right? And so that's why I think it's so important for us to be in community, because we're going to need help. And like I said, I don't know everything. I'm not a mechanic. Um, I can do basic things, but yeah, that's not me. I, I don't long to, oh, let me go get my wrenches and pop the hood. No, I don't. That's not me. That's not my gift. I don't have the gift of mechanics. I don't, especially out in this Texas heat during the summer. Your car breaks down? Heck no. Right? So we need to do things together. I think that's just the most important thing. What do you guys think about that? What do you think about community? Um, I really want to hear y'all's things tonight. Saltman says, I have a neighbor next door that I'm close with, but that's it. Must have sold, so I have a bunch of new people. Oh, okay. The rest have sold, and now you have a bunch of new people on your street. I get you. Yeah. You know, I think I want to challenge you, Saltness. Go meet one new neighbor. Just say hi. You're not telling them you're a prepper. Just gonna say hi, right? Just say hi. That's how it starts. Back in the day, I remember growing up. My grandparents would, somebody moved into the neighborhood. People, neighbors, and stuff. They would take food over to that individual, because why? Well, because they're moving into a new home and everything's in a box, and so they're not going to have anything ready to make a meal or anything. So the neighborly thing to do back in the day was to make a meal for that new person that came in. We don't do that anymore because everybody is private, right? And so we don't do that, right? I remember that when there was a funeral, several people from the church would get together, and they would build meals for the family that lost the loved one, and they would do that for a whole week: breakfast, lunch, dinner. That was building community, and we used to do that a long time ago. But you hardly see that today. Maybe at the funeral, right, there's this meal together, and then that's it, right? But back in the day, there were people that gathered together, and they prepared meals for people. Psalmist says, I'm a friendly person myself. I know that. Psalmist, I know that. And some of them don't even want to wave hello. It took me months to get the guy next door to wave back. All right, so the wave didn't work. I'll tell you what'll work. Cookies. Just saying. Cookies. You know how I met my wife? She would buy me breakfast and she got to me through my stomach. Just saying. Just saying. Yeah. Let's be nice. Let's be neighborly. Let's bake some cookies. I think that's a really neat thing to do. Don't be afraid to stand out and say hello. This weekend, in our motorcycle ministry that my wife and I are part of, we got to go feed the homeless under the bridge this weekend, and um, we're there to minister the word and to pray for people. And this was our first time being there to help them. And as soon as we're getting off the truck, um, people are coming up to us for prayer, and it's just like God, you know, divinely brought all of these people together for us to come and pray with them, and it was a really neat thing. So don't ever be afraid to follow what God is calling you to do. If the Holy Spirit is encouraging you to meet with someone, to pray with someone, don't hesitate. Do it. God is wanting you to do it because He's going to give you everything you need to do it. Right. So don't ever be afraid. God is with us always. Glenn says, in your world that may be rare. In my world, we okay, yeah. 7 days, and folks, yeah, bring food in. Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. Um, you know, I wouldn't have known that if you didn't tell me that, Glenn. That's awesome. Then there's an additional period of mourning for 30 days. That's awesome, man. Yeah. See, everything's changing. And I am wanting to build community. And so I am encouraging people to do that. So that's awesome, Glenn. Thanks. Granny's Corner says, Glenn, that's a wonderful tradition. Yep, it sure is. All right, guys. I think that is what I have for you tonight. I know we're kind of ending a little early, but that's okay. I'm really, really wanting you guys to think about community, to think about what are you doing to help yourself beyond a poop hitting the fan scenario, right? And I'm not talking end of world. I'm talking about any situation that can happen, right? Maybe you lose a loved one that's really close. That's a situation, right? That's a loss. And there are big ramification in those things. And are we prepared? You're never going to be able to know when that's going to happen. That's just going to happen. But if we're preparing ourselves, for that situation, that would be spiritually, then we know that God is with us even through those times, right? So think about that. Think about building community. Think about how you can bring people together and talk about skills. Hey, what are the skills that you have? And know those skills, know those people, and remember them. And maybe it's you saying, you know what, hey, let's have a potluck. Let's have it at the park. And let's go out and have Church's chicken, and meet at the park and just kind of talk about these things and what we can do. And let's start gathering items to barter and that kind of a thing. And you will see that this thing will probably even grow way beyond what you thought it was going to be. I am I follow Travis. He is the Prepared Homestead. And when I first came across him, um, he was one of the first ones that when I came into the prepping world back in the day, and I was following him, and I really liked what he was saying. And he has a community that meets once a month, and they meet in a building. I think it's like a hall, and they have booths set up because people have items that they make and sell. And then they have speakers that come and they talk about preparedness. They talk about, situations in preparedness, and it's this whole thing of people that come together, and then they eat together, they fellowship together, and it's this huge potluck. And he's in the Ozarks, and so I wish I could take a trip over there to see what he's doing, because I want to do that here, and I want to see how he's doing it, to be able to do that here. I think that would be such an awesome thing. So yeah. So think about community, guys, and think about how awesome that would be to have people who know things that you might not know, and how you all can work together. I think that's just something to put together. Salman says, yes, he has a really well put together mag. Yes, he does. And when I first started watching him, he was rucking with his team, and they were all decked out and fancied out in their stuff. And he would do his lives or his videos from the ruck. And I was always interested in that, and seeing him do that. I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, so let's create community, guys, this week. Let's think of ways this week we can create community. And let me know. Send me some comments and say, hey, Fernando, I tried the community thing this week. It worked. This is what I did. Maybe it didn't work. Maybe I was afraid. Share that with me, because I want to see what you guys can come up with, what you guys can do, and just to see how that works, because I am moving in that direction here. And just meeting with my friend this weekend, him talking and him saying, well, maybe you should just be part of the group that I'm in. There's only like 4 or 5 of us. And I'm like, well, let's do it. Hey, let's start a new thing. So yeah, so let's talk in our comments this week. Let's talk about community. Tell me what you think. All right, guys. Thank you for joining the live tonight. I hope that you guys have gained some knowledge from this. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Let's get this posted out, because we want to create God's Prepared Warrior groups in other places, not just here where I'm at. I want you guys to share in all of that. So if that is you becoming the leader of that in your area, let's do it. Let's put it together. I would like to see that grow in your area. That would be so cool. All right, guys. Thank you for joining the live tonight. Have a good night. Know that I am always praying for all of you, and thank you for joining in, and hope to see you on tomorrow morning's video. God bless, and see you then. Bye-bye.